Welcome to Cinema Savants, your home for all your movie and TV news, with Todd Vandenberg, Lee Vowell, and Rob Steele. And coming up in this show, we've got a lot of what I'm sure is going to be really great animated conversation. That's a pun. A lot of the news this week has to do with animated stuff. But first, we're going to start with a terrorist attack in London because Robin Hood bombed. See what I did there? Yeah.
Very lovely.
I didn't want them to do that. I wanted the movie to be good. It looked like it had potential to be good. Everyone on the planet who's seen it has said, oh, this is not good. Yeah. And you found, what was it, a list of anachronisms that don't fit? Which, of course, means it's going to cross over with DC's Legends of Tomorrow, and they're going to bring that ship in to fix all the time anachronisms, right?
Yeah, when they first announced this, I said, okay, this sounds interesting. And then I saw the trailer, and I didn't bother to bring up the trailer because the trailer was really irritating, and Marion tosses off some very 90s colloquialism, as in, 1990s, or even 2000.
Like totally, Robin.
Yeah, but it wasn't a 1390s version or 1490s. It's just,
it was 1995.
Something like that, and it was awful. And it's very jarring, and it reminds me, I'm watching a movie where they think it's cute to update some things. And there's a lot of problems with the movie, like, for instance, they're living together, which that's not a moral problem for me, but it doesn't really fit the historical time period at all.
No.
They're firing arrows that explode through concrete, which, by the way, they have concrete, which they shouldn't have. People have reading glasses. Maybe 300 or 400 years before Ben Franklin pulled up his bifocals. It's just goes on and on and on and on. They have hospital ships. It's like they were going to do a steampunk version of Robin Hood and then forgot to really mention it. So they have all these jarring elements.
They put the water in the kettle but forgot to put it on the fire, so it's not quite steampunk.
Yeah, except that it was an Instant Pot. God, there's so many things they did to screw this up that it's no wonder that people can't enjoy it, because it seems like every 5 minutes you see something that says, oh yeah, this isn't Robin Hood. This is some weird alternate universe version of Robin Hood that they didn't bother to really put forward because it's still supposed to be Robin Hood. It's like, what a piece of horrible crap. Molotov cocktails.
The money, holy cow, it cost them what? So a couple $100 million to make this movie, and it had in its, what was it? It was a 5-day opening weekend because of Thanksgiving, and it made a whopping $19 million. I mean, wow, that not a terribly good investment, I wouldn't think.
Yeah, this is again, this is one of the that has 2 distributors, probably has 6 different studios backing it, but yeah, that's not really good. Apparently, according to Box Office Mojo, the production budget was only $100 million, which I'm shocked, because it's amazing that you could make a big epic like this for $100 million that little. And that's not a joke. It's just how things are. But yeah, to crank up not even $19 million, and that's not the opening weekend. That's as of now. Not really good. That's just incredible that it's done. Well, it's not incredible that it's done that poorly. It shouldn't have made 19 because it just looks terrible.
It's not good. I may watch it at some point because I like Tim Minchin, and I'd like to see him more on a bigger screen. But not necessarily. I think this is one I'll skip in theaters. Yeah,
the good news globally, it's done almost the shade over 27 million.
That's not good.
That's a huge wreck.
I'm sorry.
That's awful.
Yeah.
And there have been articles about, why do they keep on remaking Robin Hood? That doesn't work. It's like, well, it does work on occasion if you actually make a good movie, and that's the problem. They usually don't make a good movie of it.
If you make Robin Hood, it'll be fine. We're not sure what they made this time, and that's where the issues come in.
Exactly. They constantly try to update it and do our version. It's like people don't want to see your wonky version. They want to see Robin Hood, period, and not with an American accent.
Yeah. Well, actually, this ought to be interesting. They're another remake, and we're not sure how this is going to go because it's one of those movies that got famous because it was animated by Disney. And now they're making a live-action version, and I've always called it Pinocchio because that's how it's spelled. Live-action Pinocchio, where they announced this week that it is highly likely that Geppetto will be played by Tom Hanks. And I think just that on its own means it's going to make more money than Robin Hood.
Oh, yeah. It will make more money than Robin Hood. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to make a lot of money.
Right.
But that certainly makes it more interesting.
I mean, it fits. And actually, I pulled up the picture of Geppetto from the animated version, and he does kind of resemble Tom Hanks anyway. Not a whole lot. I mean, the big red nose doesn't count. But, you know.
Yeah, but I'm just curious to see. Well, it's going to have a good script, obviously, because Tom Hanks does not necessarily mean box office. I just pulled up his box office list. The Circle, 20 million. That's the lifetime gross for The Circle. For those of you who don't remember that ever came out, yeah, it came out just a couple of years ago.
But it had Hermione. How could it not have made money?
Yeah, really. A Hologram for the King, which was never going to make a ton of money because it was a small film, but $4 million lifetime box office. So this is not exactly a guarantee of huge box office. What it is a guarantee is that Tom Hanks will be good.
Yeah.
Because regardless of what he's in, he's good. He could just read a grocery list, and I think maybe that was the problem with The Circle, but he's going to add his qualities to it. So that's going to make it at least give you a reason to think, okay, well, we'll see what they do. And if they just do the story instead of whatever weird modern take they want to do on it, it could be wonderful. So I have high hopes for the newest version of Pinocchio.
Yeah, we'll see how that comes out. I mean, it's not coming anytime soon. It's coming, just not soon.
Right.
Something that's not coming, and we kind of saw this coming, that it was not coming, and now we know that it's not coming. So come on, let's get on with it. Daredevil season 4.
Yeah.
Not coming to Netflix. Now, let's clarify this. Not coming to Netflix.
Right.
I strongly suspect that at some point we're going to say something along the lines of, behold, the Disney streaming Marvel service for 18 and older people.
Right.
Because Daredevil, I can't see, that's the problem with putting it on the Disney streaming service. Daredevil and Luke Cage and Iron Fist are not going to be able to be put in the same category as Mickey Mouse and the toddler-friendly shows that Disney does. There has to be a separation in there somewhere, because otherwise you're going to get some kid who goes straight from Mickey's Funhouse or whatever that horrifically animated show is that I keep seeing whenever I go get my car fixed, because they don't know any other channel than Fox News and Disney. And I'll take the Disney show because it's more intelligible.
Yes.
That's not, going straight from that to Daredevil is going to scar some kid, and that would be bad.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they don't decide to do a different tier, because then that'll be another subscription service. And no, don't do that. Just
I know.
Put on your parental warnings and let people know. That's my biggest fear, because Netflix, in their announcement that they were canceling it, said that The Adventures of Daredevil will continue, and the very next day, Marvel said the same thing. So we're going to get more Daredevil, but I'm concerned for two reasons. First is that it won't be the same gritty, dark version of Daredevil, which works for the character, unlike
very much
what DC does for Superman, which screwed it up, and that it won't be Charlie Cox. It won't be the current showrunners. I really don't want them to reboot this.
No.
I don't want them to say, okay, we can do Daredevil and we can do another. Of course they can. It's not like Batman didn't work after they got away from Adam West, let alone Michael Keaton. So it's not like, there's only one actor that can pull it off. Of course another actor could step in. But there's no reason for another actor to step in, because they just finished the 3rd season. The guy is terrific. The show's been terrific. We don't need to lose Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin. So tons of reasons they need to keep this show. Like you said, they need to keep it in the current format, the current vision that they have, with really dark, violent, grim, because that fits the character. And they really need to keep the actors, because the show is great.
Yes.
So that really sucks. It also puts the point to Netflix saying, this has nothing to do with the upcoming Disney streaming service. Is like, yeah, whatever. has everything to do with the upcoming
Behold
Disney
me not believing
streaming
that.
service. Because it's funny how, so far, every single Marvel series that's been on Netflix, when they wrap up their most recent
Season.
group of a season, right? That's the word I was trying to think of. Wow, how awful. It's canceled. So, does anybody really think
Jessica
the
Jones
Punisher
and
is-
Daredevil, or not Daredevil, Punisher are still coming.
Right.
And expect
And
those to
so-
be the end of it.
Yeah, exactly. Like they're going to continue with the Punisher after they come up with season 2. It's like they're gone.
Yeah.
And while it does, there are reports out that, well, viewership is down even on Daredevil, not as much as it dropped for Luke Cage season 2 or Iron Fist season 2. I get that, because Netflix is constantly canceling seasons that underperform, which, duh, they should. But
I get that.
This is clearly because Disney's taking those characters back. It just seems like a really stupid thing for Disney to do. Just because you have your own streaming service doesn't mean that you shouldn't make money by licensing out to Netflix, unless, of course, they feel they're going to make more money by producing it themselves. But I really hope they just bring over the entire crew, because that would be a colossal mistake if they don't.
Yeah. But speaking of dark, gritty, and Netflix, couple other announcements out of Netflix this week. First, they're remaking, and here's another one, a live-action version of an anime series, live-action Cowboy Bebop, which is how do I describe that show?
Good luck.
It's
fascinating. It's awesome. It's cool.
Dark and gritty Firefly. No, it's a space western with more. I have to admit, I've only seen one episode of it, and it may actually be the last episode because everyone died. I don't know if that's something that happened in this show. They were all killed because somebody didn't clean out the fridge in the back of the ship, and it grew something nasty out of it. And I kind of went, I don't know what I'm watching, but it's 3 a.m. and there's nothing else on. I'll watch this. And it looked interesting. And I don't know if that's the...
Spoiler alert for people who haven't seen it yet, even though it's what? How old is that series? 25, 30 years?
Something like that. It is not new.
No, I've not seen all of it. I've seen several episodes, and I think it's awesome. It's hilarious. Great action. I mean, it's terrific. I think this is really cool that they're doing a live-action version, because it's been a while since people have had Cowboy Bebop. Oh, great score, too.
It looks like 2001 was the last episode.
There you go. Okay, so only 18 years.
Started coming out in 97? I'm sorry, last came out in the States in 2001.
Oh.
The original run was from 97 to 98.
Okay, but still, close enough. 20 years. I'm excited about a live-action version just because it's kind of fresh territory that they can mine, and it just depends if they do a good job or not. If they turn this into one of Rob's favorite live-action films of the past 10 years.
Don't say it.
Yeah, I won't say it.
Don't.
If you've listened to the show, you know what
it was Ghost in the Shell, and it sucked, okay?
So hopefully...
I still watch that TV series, by the way. Over and over, because it's good, as opposed to Scarlett Johansson looks lovely in that movie, by the way.
She does, and she does a good job.
It's a shame no one else does.
Yeah,
or nothing else does. It's
kind of a train wreck. But, as long as, and one of the most important characters is a really hyper-intelligent talking dog, so that won't be live action. Unless you go by Disney's definition of live action, like the Jungle Book coming up, which is all computer generated, except for the one kid. I'm sorry, not Disney's version. It's the Netflix version. Anyway,
the Netflix version. What?
Netflix. That could be
That's a completely different service.
Yeah, don't look that up, and you'll probably find it. God, you probably would. That's terrifying.
I think I know a domain name that I'm going to, buy if.
Go for it right now.
If it's not there, right? Yeah. Hang on a minute.
Anyway,
Netflix.
I'm very excited about the prospects of Cowboy Bebop live action version, because you totally pull it off. It will cost a lot of money, though, to do it correctly. Although Netflix doesn't appear to be afraid to spend a lot of money. That's for sure.
Well, something else they bought is I don't know if you buy a joint venture. They're going in with award-winning author, and I keep wanting to call him Ronald, because Roald looks like it's missing a letter. Roald Dahl. And if you go, hey, I know that name. Where do I know that name from? He's the guy who did Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and Matilda and BFG and a bajillion other kids' stories. Mm-hmm. And Netflix has signed a deal to make animated versions of them, including Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and its sequel, Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator, Matilda, BFG, Twits, George's Marvelous Medicine, The Giraffe, and The Pelly and Me. I know what a giraffe and I know what me is. I don't know what a Pelly is. But we'll find out when Netflix puts it out.
Indeed. Again, really, really exciting news because Netflix has produced a lot of really good entertainment. Whether you want to look at them as movies or if you look at them as just an ongoing series. Yeah, there's some stuff on there that was like, There's some stuff out there that would just, no matter what. Like the Robin Hood movie we started the show with. So yeah. This, I think, is really, really awesome news because they can turn out some just amazing stuff. His stories seem like they would be good if they were animated. Because, I mean, the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory was good, but it didn't quite follow the story. Then there was Charlie and the Chocolate Factory with Johnny Depp as Mike Myers, and that just didn't work. I can see it working as animated, though. They almost have to be to work the best. Yeah. He's just got just amazing stories. So it'd be really, really cool to see what they do. And from what I understand, they did secure the rights to everything. They did everything. So, wow. They could be working off this for literally a couple decades. So I don't know how much money they paid for this, but if they do it right, they'll get their money's worth no matter how much.
More than Robin Hood made.
Well, more than Robin Hood cost.
That's probably true.
Yeah, but this is really exciting news because, man, there's some incredible stories that they can do.
Although production is not supposed to start until next year, so I'm thinking 2020 at the earliest.
Yeah, we'll be waiting a while for some of these.
Conversely, there's an anime series in the works that was based on a movie that came out recently. Adult Swim and Crunchyroll, Adult Swim being the more adult animated stuff on Cartoon Network, and Crunchyroll being a streaming anime service, they're teaming with Alcon Television Group, who I know nothing about, on making an animated Blade Runner series using Shinichiro Watanabe, who's the guy who created Cowboy Bebop. Oh, look, it all kind of goes together. They had done a short called, Blade Runner Blackout 2022, which was the prequel to Blade Runner 2049, which came out last year. Now, what I was thinking when I first saw this, because you know my thoughts on Blade Runner, Todd.
Yes,
and
I do.
Listeners of the show, I was thinking Adult Swim is doing this. Okay, so that's what? Cartoon Network at 3 a.m. So check this out. What they're making is going to be a very well-produced, well-thought-out TV show with a great storyline and finally a cure for insomnia.
I have a feeling it won't be a cure for insomnia for a lot of people. For you,
well, I know, but it
depending if it fits the previous films, in which case it should, in which case you will sleep like a baby. So
I'll be fine. Yes. Just to clarify again, I love the story, I love the acting, I love the special effects, but damn, it puts me to sleep every time. It could just be me. I don't know.
No, it's certainly not just you because there's not universal acclaim, and neither film did huge box office. So
true.
There you go.
But better than Robin Hood.
Yeah. To me, this is, again, exciting news. The one thing that strikes me is, why did it take so long?
That's a good question.
That's just amazing that, because, is this not just basically, doesn't it seem like it's a storyline taken from anime to begin with?
I'm fairly certain it might have been.
Yeah, so odd that we've waited this long for it. This is very, very cool news, though, especially with the involvement of Adult Swim, because generally they have good quality things on Adult Swim. So if they're involved, I have a feeling that they'll at least try to make a good version as opposed to some crap version just to roll it out there and see if we can get some more advertising dollars from the people who stupidly watch this until they fall asleep. So,
speaking of stupid crap animated versions that'll get more money until people just get tired of it completely, Disney Kids have announced that they're going to be making a Star Wars animated series.
Yeah.
Which, I got to admit, doesn't look terribly good to me.
Based on the original trilogy.
Yeah, which we don't need that. We've got the original trilogy to watch. How hard is that? Although the article did get me slightly excited because I misread it. The article I saw this on first said, let's see, let me quote here. Check out the full trailer for the series below. Episodes are scheduled to follow through the theatrical release of Star Wars Episode 9 on December 20th. I thought, holy crap, that's this month, 2019. Oh, that's this month next year, never mind.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Got excited for a minute. I was like, really? We should have had a trailer by now. Oh, next year, never mind.
I'm not really... It sounds like they're basically remaking the original trilogy and flushing it out some more, because otherwise it's going to be kind of a short series, right? If it's all of about 9 hours long total. So that just seems like a strange decision when obviously there's a huge backlog of stories they could use, and we'll just redo it for kids. That's really weird.
It was for kids in the first place, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I kind of think that kids that would watch this already know the story, so they're going to sit there and think, I saw this before and it looks much cooler. Really weird. Yeah, hopefully it will be good. But it does seem to be kind of an odd decision.
We can hope, actually. Speaking of odd decisions, I love how the segues are just rolling this week. Gareth Dunnett Alcocer, whose name I have just finished botching. He's the guy who rewrote the upcoming remake of Scarface, has been hired by DC Comics to write a film adaptation of Blue Beetle. And I thought, if you're going to get... is there a more obscure character to make a film out of? I mean, I know Iron Man wasn't mainstream, but if you say Iron Man, at least some people will at least go, wasn't that the song Ozzy Osbourne sang? No.
Iron Man was at least a strong second-tier character.
Yeah, and it's not even the Ted Kord version of Blue Beetle. It's the Jaime Reyes version. Right,
which, personally, I would much rather see the Ted Kord version. But then again, I'm old. I was reading the Ted Kord versions when they were new. So that makes things a little different. And it was one of my favorite comics. That was when it was Charleston Comics. It wasn't even a DC property because DC hadn't even bought it yet. I can totally see why they're going with the newer version, though, because that's the version that's, if anyone knows it, that's the version they're going to know. Probably.
Unfortunately, yeah.
And
from Young Justice, which is coming back next month. Yay! Anyway.
Yeah, I've just never been that enthused about the newest version of the Blue Beetle. It has nothing to do with, now he's an ethnic character. It has everything to do with, I just don't like the character as much as the previous version, which was kind of a combination of Egyptian mythology, a little bit of a Hawkman mixed in with a lot of Batman. I like the character. It was a very interesting character, and now it just seems to be, more run-of-the-mill, and he has this alien scarab thing that is part of him, and it's almost like a Venom takeoff now, and just, not that exciting. But it's, again, here's DC, and we're not talking about an animated movie. We're talking about a full-blown, like, Wonder Woman, Aquaman. Really? Yeah. Blue Beetle is what you're going with? I mean...
That is literally the note I put next to this. I put down the link and the word, really?
Yeah, it just seems really, really odd. Hopefully it works, because Wonder Woman certainly worked, and I'm still not really sure about Aquaman because of the brotastic qualities, but it does look like it's going to be fun, which DC seem to kind of forget that these movies should be fun. And so I have high hopes for Aquaman, so maybe this will be a good film. It's just kind of weird that they seem to have kind of lost their way with Superman and Batman, and they're investing in making sure they get a good Blue Beetle movie. Great. They're crazy over there.
A bit. I mean, I liked one of the previous rumors that went with Blue Beetle, in that they were going to do the Ted Kord version along with Booster Gold, in a Booster Gold Blue Beetle movie starring Nathan Fillion as Booster Gold Alan, I'm going to mispronounce his last name, Tudyk.
Oh, Heidick, yeah.
As Ted Cord. That would have worked.
Oh my God, that would have worked. I mean, you could have it would be kind of like a Lethal Weapon buddy movie almost.
Very much.
But super powered, and because that combination that's hilarious and action packed, and that would have been fun, and that's totally what they should have done. Whether they involve those two actors or not, that would have been totally bomb, and not a bomb like Robin Hood bomb, but the bomb.
Yes.
But instead, they're going with this version. So I don't know. Just kind of makes you wonder.
Well,
who knows? Maybe they'll do the Ted Cord Booster Gold thing for TV, and it'll be on the CW, and that would be fun.
There we go. Ooh, I just realized that I've left one of the Netflix stories out.
Oh,
Silly me.
Bad person.
I'm horrible. There's going to be a 3-part miniseries coming out for Netflix, co-produced by the BBC and done by creators Stephen Moffat and Mark Gatiss, although they didn't create this character. It's a character who's been around since even before Todd was born. So dinosaurs roamed the earth. Dracula. He's been around a while.
Yes.
But they cast him this week. Here's the catch. No idea who this guy is. And I'm going to mispronounce his name. Claes Bang. And I'm Claesbang. That is his name. Apparently he was in a movie called The Square, which I've never heard of. Or Borgen, which I've never heard of. Or The Girl in the Spider's Web, which isn't out yet. So I have nothing to go on for this guy. He said he's looking forward to it. Duh, you got a job. Good for you. But that's all I got.
Another Dracula thing. Although BBC doing it, like as you hope for, it will be good.
And Stephen Moffat did a great job with Doctor Who and
very true
Torchwood and stuff.
So, yeah, this could be quite interesting. It'd be interesting to see exactly what their spin is going to be, or if this is a straight-up adaptation of Stoker's Dracula, which would be kind of nice to see again, because it's been a while since we've had that.
So yeah, there's that. We'll have more on it as it becomes available, which it isn't yet. So moving on to something else that came out of London this week, actually out of the UK in general, comes from former London mayor and chubby Andy Warhol impersonator Boris Johnson, who was at and I don't know what this stands for, the DUP conference, where he announced that sometime in 2019 in Northern Ireland, George Lucas is going to be making an Obi-Wan Kenobi movie. Huh? Really? And people jumped all over that, Boris, George Lucas doesn't make Star Wars movies anymore. He sold it to Disney. Oh, well, And everyone in Northern Ireland went, no, not going to happen. It's been dropped. That just struck me as funny this week, along with the really bizarre rumor that Natalie Portman is somehow going to return as Padme Amidala. I didn't call her Armadillo on purpose. Padme Amidala in episode 9, where she may somehow announce that she and Obi-Wan are actually the parents of Anakin. You know what? Don't care. Just stop.
I don't care, except that maybe Natalie Portman would finally have a chance to actually prove she can act in a Star Wars film, because she would actually have a director instead of George Lucas. So that'd be good for her. But
no, we can't have that.
As far as the storyline, I don't care.
And I suppose the last story for this particular episode, because not a whole lot happened this week, comes from the British Film Institute, who helps fund movies that are made over there, and I get that. But they've announced that they're no longer providing funding for films that include villains with facial scars. Now, this is just the most bizarre thing. They say that physical disfigurement has often been sported by villains and henchmen and whatever, and so people with disfigurements are being associated with bad guys, and we want to get away from that. So we will no longer be supporting villains with any kind of scarring or limb loss or anything. So things like The Fugitive, we're looking for the one-armed man. Oh, can't have that. We won't fund it. Which led to what I think...
I have 2 words for the BFI.
Go ahead.
Deadpool.
Yeah, there is that.
Anyway.
But it led to the best comment I've seen on a website this week. comes from a guy who calls himself the Watcher, who says, so if we extend this line of thinking, the bad guy of the Lion King couldn't be called Scar anymore. So he will be called the non-villainous facial wound that hasn't fully healed yet, doesn't suggest stereotypical disfigurement nastiness, and in no way represents negative representation. Or, as I shortened it, NVF WTH FH YDSSDNA INWRNR for short.
Sounds Welsh.
I think it can be pronounced in Welsh.
That's
just stupid.
I understand where they're coming from, that you shouldn't conflate the two, and that perhaps for children, because like the Lion King, kids might think, oh, look, he's mean, he's got a scar, that means he's bad. I get that. And they're ignoring the fact that those things were created as physical manifestations of their inner evil, and that's a tradition from literature for, I don't know, probably a few thousand.
5 million years.
But, like I said, Deadpool, and actually the first thing I thought of was Darkman, but there's, and, like the Hunchback from Notre Dame, and there's a long tradition of heroes who have disfigurements as well, so that seems really, really silly on their part.
How's this? What if the actor just happens to have a scar?
Oh, better cover it up.
I mean, Harrison Ford came to mind because it mentioned the future. He actually does have that scar on his chin.
Yeah.
No, it's not from a whip when he was a kid and played by River Phoenix. What do you can't do anything with that. So
that's kind of silly.
Ridiculous. Anyway, that seems to be the end of the show for this week, except for the show on Friday, which is different. We're doing reviews. Boy, we've got 4 reviews this Friday.
We do.
And some of these movies are still in theaters, too. So tune in, check it out, and then you'll know that, when you go out, which movie you want to go see, and we want you to get out and go see a movie.
Captain, we're losing power in the warp engines.
I think we should be leaving now.
I'm going to go home and sleep with my wife.
And on that unusually harmonious bombshell, it is time to end.
I am very disappointed!
Man, we have a weird job.
It's shameful, but, it's a living.
And like that, he's gone.
Hey, who turned out the light?